Hello viewers, welcome back to the channel, and today we are diving into a viral moment that is sparking serious conversation online. A woman on TikTok raised a bold, unfiltered question: why does America, with all its wealth and power, look so run down compared to cities in Europe, Japan, or even part of China? She paints a vivid picture: cracked roads, lifeless strip malls, and contrasts it with the gleaming skylines of Tokyo, Paris, or Shenzhen. And the internet, is exploded. Some people are cheering her on, saying she nailed a truth that is being ignored for far too long. Others are clapping back with nuisance, talking infrastructure policy, sub-overprone, and what rich really means in a country so divided. So today we are breaking down her viral rant, the points she makes, and the massive wave of reaction is stirring. Is she right? Is America due for an artistic glow up, or is there more to this story than meets the eye? Let's get into it.
I was thinking about this. We are the richest country on the planet, one of the richest countries. Why does it look like ass? Like, really think about that for a second. Like, when you're driving, if you're not in, like, Florida or California or the coast of, like, Oregon or whatever, it's like, this place looks like shit. And we have so much money. Like, I'm thinking of, like, Europe and Japan and all the architecture, like, across the world and how beautiful it looks. Why don't we have, like, rose gold fucking buildings and, like, why does the Kmart's and, like, all of the stores look like shit? Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking in my head, I'm closing my eyes and I can imagine, like, like, look at China. Like, Shanghai, like, the coast, like, all those videos you see. That's, like, no joke, stunning, beautiful, high tech. You would think America would look like that with the amount of money that we have. But it just looks like, you know what I mean?
Please tell me more about the mind-altering chemical substance you're on. I won't tell anybody that you're doing this. Because we are $36 trillion in debt, okay? And also, we have $103 trillion in unfunded liabilities. We're not getting Social Security. So whatever substance you're on, let us know that looks past this. That'd be great.
Just answered the question in the same breath. It's because of driving. It's because of cars. It's because zoning, it's because suburbs, it's all of that. Our country looks like ass because of parking lots. And part of it was sabotaged by the auto industry, but part of it is because, to use a popular term in the urban planning community, we got car brained. And we can't imagine doing anything without our cars. We can't imagine sharing a public space on foot or in vehicles. Why do you think so many people get fucked up when they're on planes? It's not just because of the flying. It's because they're not used to being in public with so many people, and for, 2 to 7 hours, they're stuck having to be next to somebody else and not being able to define what happens with the space. Parking requirements absolutely destroyed our spaces. It's that simple. Goodbye.
Well, it looks like ass because our government sucks. They're taking all of our money and embezzling it and gonna kill us.
Hello, my love. I'd like to answer this for you. I'm in England, by the way. The reason this is simply because other countries and cultures, when the country done well, they spent money on the country. They built massive buildings. In England, we have unbelievable architecture. Same in Europe, same in Hong Kong. They built things for the people to enjoy. Massive museums and things like that. But in America, it's every man for himself. When somebody gets rich, they spend it on themselves. That's it. It's their money. They got it for themselves. When that's it. Corruption, basically.
This is a topic that hurts my heart because I don't think it's going to change. And in fact, I think it's going to get worse. And I think there's a select group of people who will immediately understand what I'm talking about. But America isn't the land of the free. America isn't the land of justice and the beacon of hope. America's the land of convenience. You see, sometime after the World War II, people started to value having more and more things, right? Now, not necessarily a bad thing, but as we started to value having more and more things, we wanted more and more things to cater to specific parts of our lives that we didn't want to do. Now there's a whole discussion there to be had about marketed sexism and et cetera, et cetera. But a good example is the dishwasher, right? Or hell, I'll make it even simpler. Or no, the dishwasher is a pretty good example. What is the actual purpose of the dishwasher? Well, you would be wrong if you said to wash dishes. It's to save you time. More specifically, when it was created, it was to save women time so that they could do other, more useful things. Now, the dishwasher has culturally changed to save time rather than women saving time. And I think that's a good thing. But at the same time, you have to realize that's everything around you. Do you use Uber Eats or DoorDash, or do you use Amazon? Do you pay for Netflix and pay for Apple TV and pay for, Hulu, etc., etc.? Everything in America is about convenience, right? This wall behind me, this is not laid the same as something that was built in the 1800s. This is a facade, right? These stones are mortared to the actual exterior of the building. And to some degree, yes, it's cheaper and it looks just as good in most cases. But at the same time, that means, and I live on the East Coast, if an earthquake or something was to blow through here, these aren't going to stick very well. Now, these are incredibly porous, so this is it's a bad example. But my point is you look at something like pick like a state prison or like an 1800s Capitol building in America. And you're like, man, those are fucking breathtaking. Even beyond their purpose, they're gorgeous buildings, right? And so after World War II, we stopped building like that because people wanted convenience. They wanted it now. They wanted it, by the end of the year. And now we're talking about, everything has to be as luxurious as it can be, even if it's cheaply made. And we're okay sacrificing, paying that little bit extra, you know what I mean? Instead of having, let's say a phone made in America. Instead of having a phone made in America, we're okay saving that extra $1,000 that would go to labor and jobs and keeping our own market, an economy well built and boosted and resilient. We're okay sacrificing, 1 million people in America and leaving them in abject poverty so long as our lives are not affected. And we're okay shipping off to other countries that use slave labor and child labor and animal right abuse and human right abuse, and we're okay with all that because it doesn't happen here. On top of that, we're also okay pushing off certain responsibilities that we have as citizens because it's inconvenient to us, and we tell the government it's okay. Just today, I was reading an article on Reddit, and it was posted by some lefty, and I don't disagree with what they said. Long story short, ICE goes into an Ohio's home. I think it's Oklahoma City. They go into an Oklahoma City home to raid the house. However, the people that used to live there are the people that they're searching for. So a family moves in, a woman and girls and maybe a father. I didn't read the entire story just because it made me really pissed off. And people are like, it's ICE, it's Trump, it's etc., etc., without wanting to admit that they are part of the problem. Nobody wants to admit that we have given up too much to other countries, to our government, to other people, right? Data and privacy isn't a right that people think about anymore. Too many people in this country are
You know she's not wrong. Drive through most part of the United States, suburban strips, railways, or even some inner cities, and you start to notice something. Faded signs, cracked sidewalks, empty storefronts, giant parking lots with potholes. It doesn't look like the richest country in the world. It doesn't even look like a modern country half the time. Meanwhile, you scroll through social media and see places like Tokyo, Seoul, Copenhagen, Dubai, or even certain cities in China, and they look like the future: smooth glass towers, clean streets, artful design, public transportation that actually works, and it makes you wonder, how can a country with so much money look so bland? Let's break this down. First of all, yes, America is rich. As a country, the US has numerous wealth, but it's also important to understand how that wealth is distributed, because the US is rich at the top, not always at the bottom or even in the middle. It's the richest country in the world by GDP. Sure, but per capita wealth is different story. And when you look at income inequality, the US ranks pretty badly among developed nations. So when people say we are the richest country in the world, why does it look like this? What they are really getting at is a sense of betrayal potential. Like, where is all the money going? Because it's clearly not going into public spaces, transit, or aesthetics. A big part of the issue is how American cities were built and why. Unlike many European or Asian countries which developed dense, workable cities out of necessities and centuries of planning, the US went all in on car culture in the 20th century. That means massive highways, sprawling suburbs, and retail design around conveniences, not beauty. Think strip malls, chain stores, big box retailers. None of this was built to be pretty. It was built to be cheap and fast. Camps wasn't supposed to look elegant. It was supposed to sell stocks for $2.99 in bulk. Then there is the issue of infrastructure neglect. The US went through a massive boom of infrastructure building in the 1950s and 60s, but since then, maintenance budgets have been slashed, public workers have been politicized, and basic upkeep has been delayed over and over again. That is why our roads are cracked, our bridges are rusting, our train stations feel like time capsule from the Cold War, and meanwhile other countries kept investing in theirs. But it's not just the bones of our cities, it's also the style. America has a cultural tendency toward utility over beauty, function over form, and while that can sometimes be admirable, it often translates into barrenness. Beige office buildings, flat roofs, cheap siding, giant parking lots instead of public plaza. That is not by accident, it's a result of zoning laws, building codes, and a development culture that values ROI over narcissistic quality. Compare that to the countries where architecture is still considered an art, where public investment includes beautification, not just function, where even an average apartment building might feature thoughtful design, greenery, or community space. Another factor, public transportation. When you go to Tokyo or Paris or Singapore, you can feel the investments in public infrastructure, clean, efficient metro systems, bike lanes, walkable districts. It makes the city feel alive. But in the US, most people outside of major coastal cities don't even have access to reliable public transit. That means more car density, more road prone, and less vibrant street life, and that all contributes to this dull, decaying visual identity. Now let's talk about priorities. In many countries, there is a cultural and political consensus that investing in cities, beautifying public spaces, and building cohesive architecture is worth the money. In the US, that kind of spending is often labeled as wasteful or elitist. Trying proposing a tax-paying funded beautification project in a random town in the Middle West, you will be met with resistance. Why? Because for decades we have been told that cutting taxes and privatizing everything is the key to progress. But that has consequences. One of them is that everything ends up looking like the back alley of a Walmart. Even the places that do look nice, coastal cities like San Francisco, Miami, or Seattle are usually unaffordable to most people. So the average American isn't experiencing beauty on a daily basis. They are living in aging suburbs or shrinking small towns with no sidewalks and abandoned retail. And don't get me started on the digital divide. Places like Shenzhen, Seoul, or Dubai are pushing into smart city territory. LED-lit facades, real-time traffic monitoring, high-speed rail systems, AI-assisted infrastructure, and meanwhile, half the US still doesn't have consistent access to high-speed internet. The comparison feels jarring. But here's the twist: it doesn't have to be this way. There are American cities trying to change this. Look at what is happening in part of Detroit with grassroots revitalization, or downtown Tulsa investing in art and green space. Even mid-sized cities like Reha or Austin are experimenting with design-forward architecture and public realm improvement. But it's slow, it's not systemic, it's patchwork. The truth is, for America to look like the wealthy, futuristic country we may imagine, it would require a massive shift in how we fund cities, in how we regulate development, in how we patronize public spaces, and how we think about the purpose of design. Because right now we are choosing mediocrities, we are choosing blindness, we are letting the richest nation in the world look like an afterthought. So yeah, this woman's rant strikes a nerve, not because she said anything right, but because she said something true, something that a lot of us sees every day and just accepts. But we don't have to accept it. We could build a better looking, more functional, more identified America. But first, we have to decide it matters. Thanks for watching. If this video made you think, or if you have your own opinions about how America looks compared to the rest of the world, drop a comment below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next upload. I will see you in the next one.